Hi everybody, so here we are back again where we belong in DayZ. So in this video I just wanted to talk about kind of what I've been up to. So I've been doing a lot of Reforger content over the last month or so, why I've been doing that, and kind of the steps forwards for the channel. And also if you've kind of picked up a sub to the channel over the last month or so because of Reforger content or other content, and you're thinking, well, what's DayZ? You know, why are these two games sort of related? And also, I guess, if you're playing DayZ and you're wondering, well, why is there all this Reforger content coming out from me, Scalespeed or Rob, or, you know, in general, then maybe we're going to cover that as well. But also, it's really just for me to kind of get back into a little bit of DayZ just as a palate cleanser. Okay, so Bohemia Interactive are the publishers and the devs behind DayZ and Arma Reforger. However, where it all kind of started off for Bohemia Interactive was with Arma. They started off with like Operation Flashpoint, you know, many years ago, and then they had Arma 2, and then Dean Hall and his mates made a mod for Arma 2, which was the DayZ mod, and it was incredibly successful. And it sold millions of copies of Arma 2, so much so that Bohemia Interactive bought the mod off Dean Hall and got them to work for Bohemia Interactive. I don't think they were working for Bohemia Interactive already, can't quite remember, but anyway, they then developed DayZ standalone for PC, and eventually that came out for console as well, which is what we know and love today. For example, I'm playing on my Xbox Series S here on my modded PvE community server. But Arma is kind of the core of what Bohemia Interactive do, even though DayZ probably makes them money. However, the last full Arma title was Arma 3, which is back in 2013, I'm going to say, around about the same time as DayZ standalone kind of started. But they've been working over the last 2 years on Arma Reforger. Now, Arma Reforger is a version of DayZ, is a version of Arma running on a new engine. So they've developed this new engine called the Infusion engine, which, funnily enough, has its root in DayZ standalone as well. The idea is it's an engine that is a lot more realistic in the environment. So as you're wandering around, everything looks very good. And you've got to admit that with DayZ, under the right lighting conditions, say like now where it's kind of a misty, sunny, I guess it's a morning, the game looks pretty amazing for a game that isn't optimized for next-gen hardware. You know, this runs on Xbox One or a PlayStation 4. So they've got this new engine that they're developing, Arma 4, with the idea that the actual title Arma 4 will be coming out in 2027. And Arma Reforger is like the test bed for that engine over the next few years. Kind of like a beta test. However, it's a beta test you've got to pay to join, and it's only available on PC and next-gen consoles, so PlayStation 5s, Xbox Series S's, Xbox Series X's. But because it's in this new version of Infusion, which kind of started off on DayZ, the games actually look quite similar. Now, obviously, Arma Reforger looks better now because it's got this latest version of the engine. And the idea with this engine, the new version of the engine with Arma Reforger, is that it can support all of the things that Arma needs as a military game. You know, helicopters, tanks, loadouts, all this sort of stuff. However, the shared DNA is very obvious. And I would say if you're a DayZ player and you're thinking about playing Arma Reforger and picking it up, I would say absolutely 100% do so. Because although it's a military game, it looks amazing, and it undoubtedly, will be the core and the foundation of what DayZ 2 will be. 100%. You know, the devs haven't said anything official, but it definitely will. You can just walk around the map and go, yeah, this is almost ready for DayZ now. If you're coming from the other direction, so you're an Arma Reforger player, maybe on console, and it's the first sort of big kind of tactical shooter you've had an opportunity of playing, because we haven't really had a game like that on consoles in living memory, then you should definitely check out DayZ. Now, DayZ is on this huge map, bigger than the maps like on Everon, the main big map for Arma Reforger. But instead of being a military shooter, it's a survival simulator. So the idea is you run around, and there's no missions, and there's no teams or anything like that. The pure thing you've got to do is survive. So you've got to eat, you've got to drink, you've got to keep yourself warm, you've got to find clothes, you've got to find weapons, and you've got to survive from the infected. Yes, they're not zombies, they're infected people who will attack you and try and kill you. And it's marvellous because, well, it's terrible and marvellous in the same way, in the fact that it's terrible and marvellous because it doesn't tell you what you've got to do. Mad Monk Vax. And that's great because you can do whatever you want. So when you spawn into a fresh server, a public server, anything can happen. There's no rules to what players can do. You can do anything. You can be friendly, you can be enemies, you can kill people, you can help people, you can go off and go hunting, you can become a soldier, go to the airfield and get lots of weapons, you could become a fisherman. All these amazing things you can do. It's a big sandbox. And so many people have, like myself, you fall in love with DayZ. It has this horrible learning curve when you first start playing it because it really doesn't have any decent tutorials. But hey, that's where Scale Speeder gaming tutorials come in. Just do a YouTube search for how to get started in DayZ, that kind of thing, and you will grow to love it. And I think both games complement each other. You've got Arma Reforger, which is your milsim, where you can spawn in, you can play a game of conflict, you can drive a truck around, you can fly a helicopter, you can shoot some really nice weapons, and it's kind of semi-serious. I mean, it can be as sweaty as you want it to be, but you can just be a truck driver delivering supplies. You're kind of doing that stuff. And then you have DayZ, which kind of a bit like the same thing, to be honest. It can be as serious as you want it to be, so you can head to one of the big airfields, the big airfield or the big military bases where you're going to bump into people and get into firefights, or you can stay out of the way and just enjoy surviving, which is very, very cool. So there we go. So if you like one, I think you'll like the other, and the opportunity to play something like Arma Reforger or DayZ on console is pretty mind-blowing if you ask me. Now, my channel, Scale Speeder Gaming, I've been very, very lucky over the past sort of 4 or 5 years with the release of DayZ on console especially, and the way that Bohemia Interactive, the devs behind DayZ, don't publish that many tutorials or guides. Is that it's given me a really good opportunity to make lots of YouTube content that lots of people watch, both in terms of playing DayZ, but also modding DayZ as well. For example, the server I'm on at the moment is a PvE server, so it's protected by a password. You've got to join my Patreon to get on it. And there's more loot, basically. So if you go around, there'll be more food, there'll be more drink, there'll be vehicles that have got the wheels already on them, and that kind of thing. So it's a modded experience on console, which is pretty fantastic. So I can make videos for that sort of thing. And that has really helped me grow the channel because I enjoy making videos, helping people to play video games and or mod video games as well. And I've concentrated mainly on things like DayZ, PUBG, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Cyberpunk. I do lots and lots of videos about lots of video games, but DayZ is one of the core aspects. And I've been very lucky in the fact that the channel has been growing as well. We're up to just over 70,000 subscribers now, which I never thought I'd get to, which is really cool. And I'm growing at the rate of about 1,000 subscribers a month, so that's nice. Getting about 400,000 views a month, which is very nice as well. However, Arma Reforger has given me an opportunity recently in the fact that it's had a massive growth in popularity. So Arma Reforger has been out for at least 2 years. I can't remember the exact release date, but its initial release on Xbox and PC was really bumpy. It wasn't very good at all. You couldn't connect to servers. The game didn't run very well. It was a real shame. I made videos myself when I said I can't believe Bohemia Interactive make people pay to be part of this almost alpha. It was like you're paying Bohemia Interactive in order to be one of their QA testers, which isn't right, sort of thing. However, recently, just before Christmas, 2024, the game came out on PlayStation, and there was also some big patches as well that came in that have brought many updates that have occurred to Arma Reforger together, where it kind of finally all slotted together to make a really fantastic game. And it is now very, very playable. So the main game mode in Arma Reforger is called Conflict. And before, it was a little bit weird. You weren't really sure what to do. There weren't enough players on servers because the servers didn't support them. There weren't enough players playing the game because of the game wasn't very good. The AI were a bit difficult sometimes, and you generally just didn't have fun. But with all the updates they've done, where now you have things like the supply system makes sense and works, the neutral AI, well, they're not neutral, they shoot at you, give a nice PvE aspect to the game as well. The connections are much better. It's not perfect. You've got loads more people playing the game. There's some amazing mods that have come out with modern warfare stuff in it, so people can play with modern M4s and have night vision and stuff like that, rather than the 1980s kit that the game is set in. Lots of big content creators, the likes of Jack Frags and Stone Mountain 64 have been making content and saying how much they enjoy playing the game, and I can second that myself. Really enjoy it. And these opportunities don't come along that often for the likes of myself, where I'm fairly specific about the games I play and enjoy playing, and therefore like making video games tutorials about. So I would really struggle to make videos about a game I didn't like playing. An example of that would be something like Scum. Not Scum. Scum actually. Scum and Rust. So Rust is a classic example of that, where I just don't like playing Rust because of the way you spawn in and somebody will bash your head in with a rock, and you try and build a base, and when you come out to the base, someone has completely destroyed it. And I just don't get on with the gameplay mechanic at all. So, because I don't like playing it, I don't really want to make tutorials about it. Even though I know if I made tutorials about Rust, which is an incredibly popular game, they would probably do really well. So I've got Reforger now, which is a game I love playing. It's really good. It's up there in my top 5 games of all time now, the conflict game mode. And the fact that you have Bohemia Interactive are the devs and the publishers, so they don't make that many tutorials about how to play it and how to mod it, and how to run servers and things. And so it's that perfect opportunity where it's like, right, I'm really interested in this game. I really enjoy playing this game. There's a need for information about this game, how to play it, how to mod it, that sort of thing. And I've got to dive in with both feet. So I have like a Google Docs document that's just a massive to-do lists, and I have all these different to-do lists, and I'll go down, and as I play a game, and I think, oh, how do you do this? I'll write that down, and then I'll find out how you do it, and then make a quick video. I'm kind of known for quick videos like this, which are basically just screen captures. And with Reforger, there were just dozens and dozens of opportunities like that. How do you play conflict? How do you aim? How do you use the sniper rifles? How do you know where supplies are? How do you run your own server? Loads and loads of stuff like that. So while lots of people are learning the game and it is increasing in popularity, I've got to make those videos. So for the past month, I've just been putting out mostly Arma Reforger videos. Every day there's been at least probably one Arma Reforger video. I've kind of got to a point now where I think I've covered most of the main points until the next big update comes out with mortars and helicopter rocket gunships. And I'm kind of moving into more of the how do you mod the game sort of stuff. But the problem with Arma Reforger at the moment, and DayZ, you've probably come across this already, is that Bohemia Interactive, their website and their servers are coming under some sort of, we think it's a DDoS, a distributed denial of service attack, which means that things aren't working very well and you can't get into servers. And in fact, every weekend, up until I think last weekend, with Arma Reforger, on a Sunday or a Saturday in the evening when people were off work and playing, it hit a new high in terms of PC players and therefore console players as well. And it was getting up to, I think it was about 22,000 concurrents on Steam for PC, which is a lot. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And it was gaining momentum. More and more videos coming out, more and more people making videos about it. And then they had these DDoS attacks, which means that the concurrents kind of dropped down to sort of about 9,000. So there's problems with connecting to servers and connecting to the in-game workshop for mods and all this sort of stuff, which is very unfortunate. But it has given me a chance to kind of pause a little bit and go, right, okay, take a breath. what have we done so far, what do I need to do, what are the questions that still need to be answered and I want to answer, and move on and think about DayZ as well. And so so I've made all these videos, and with my videos they tend to have a very long tail. The idea with them is that when I make a video about how to mod your server or how to use medicine in DayZ, I'm not looking for 10,000 views when I release the video. I'm looking for 10,000. Hello. We found somebody's base. That's handy, isn't it? We should close this up, really, as it's not ours. It's one of the rules on the server. You don't steal from other people's bases. You leave them alone. I'm looking for 10,000 views over the next 5 years on that video, and it's the same with the Arma Reforger stuff. So I've been putting all this effort into producing loads and loads of videos, answering all these sorts of questions, which hopefully over the next 2, 3, 4 years, up to and including and after the release of Arma 4, when people fire up Arma Reforger, they're like, all right, well, how do I put mods on my community server? I've done a video about that. But that does mean it takes time and resources away from my DayZ content, which I do apologise for if you're mainly here for DayZ. So that's the kind of the side of that, and the reason for not putting out much DayZ content over the last month or so. It also means that probably when I do my DayZ boosted loot files for update 1.28 is the next one, is it? He says off the top of his head. They're probably going to be quite simple. I'm going to go back to basics and start with the vanilla files for Sakal, Livonia and Chernarus, and just make some really simple quality of life changes that don't change too much. I'm going to roll back some of the stuff as well, just to make the files a little bit more maintainable, maybe moving onwards. But also the fact that with the last couple of updates, with the Sakal updates, seem to have a lot of trouble with Sakal being a bit sensitive to having too much loot, and the loot table sort of collapsing and loot not spawning in. So that's something I'm going to kind of be doing. However, saying all that, I do have a massive list of stuff that I want to achieve with DayZ, and one of the big things is that you could say I've kind of got a little bit behind as well with DayZ, because we've got things like the updates to the DayZ editor, we've got things like the all the new snow and ice assets that have been added. So in the back of my head I'm thinking, okay, well, I need to do videos on how to add snow and ice assets to Chernarus. How do we add the new weapon that's coming to Chernarus and Livonia? And all the multiple questions that you kind people are good enough to put in the comment section on the Discord, so that gives me ideas on how to do videos as well. So there we go, my ramblings. How does it feel, I guess, to be back in DayZ? It feels really good. It feels the beauty with the DayZ infusion engine, and you do get this with the Reforger as well, and I think this is what Bohemia Interactive were going for. It feels very grounded. It feels like you're in a real place because of the way that everything looks. When you play Arma 3, for example, it's very cool, and undoubtedly with things like Prairie Fire, when you're in the jungles and certain other maps, they feel like you are definitely in a place. But when you're rocking it around the normal kind of maps in Arma 3, it is immersive, and it can be immersive, but it's not as immersive as the infusion engine in DayZ or the new version of the infusion engine in Arma Reforger. These really take it up a notch in terms of being there, feeling like you do have your boots in the grass, in the mud, when you're playing these games. And that's what makes these games really special as well, isn't it? The fact you have this immersion. And with the DayZ infusion engine or the new infusion engine, it's something that other games don't really have. I think the new Stalker game comes close. I think Unreal Engine, the latest version of Unreal Engine, is it 6, is it, or 5? Can be very, very beautiful. But what Stalker, for example, doesn't have, they don't have the map creators like Bohemia Interactive have, that are willing to put in things like this, this amazing verticality into their games, which makes them just so much more realistic. Because say for example in Stalker 2, often it feels like you're walking across these flat plains. Now I know lots of Eastern Europe is like that, but it's nice to break it up with the verticality of hills, small mountains, rivers, all that sort of stuff, which DayZ and Bohemia Interactive and Arma are very, very good at. So there we go. An update on the channel, update of why you should buy DayZ if you're into Reforger, why you should buy Reforger if you're into DayZ, and kind of what I've been up to over the last month. So more Reforger content coming, more DayZ content coming. Thank you very much for all your support, and aren't we so lucky to have these amazing video games. That's enough from me. Hopefully you found this video a little bit interesting, a little bit useful. If you have, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and of course I'll see you again soon.